Hello, creators! How are you guys? It's great to hang out with you again for another Video Creators podcast episode / Video Creators live stream. This is going to be a good topic. As always, I hope they are. Oh, and excuse the kids crying in the background, if you can hear that. They're normally down for naps, but right now they're not. It's been one of those days, right? So, strategy for launching a brand new YouTube channel. How do you start from scratch? How do you start gaining momentum? How do you set this up? And all that. That's what I want to talk through with you guys here today is how do we start from the very beginning and get this going? And maybe I should have gotten rid of, helped the baby right before starting. Hold on a second. Okay, how's that? That's what you get for live streaming, right? Yeah, so we have a lot of, let's see, look at my notes here. I want to start this out by going through some notes that I put together for you guys, but I'd like to spend most of our time doing some Q&A because I know a lot of you guys here on the chat who are here live listening to this. I want to hear from you guys if you are just starting out in your channel and maybe you have already launched it, but you're like, I launched it and it didn't go the way I was hoping, or you're about to get to that stage, whatever it is. Let me know which stage you're at with your channel, and then that's what I want to address. So Laura is in the chat, my producer, and she'll be taking all your questions, putting them in front of me that are on topic, and we'll get through as many of those as we can here in the next half hour or so together. But let me take you through my process first of all, as you guys are asking your questions that I use when we're working with clients who are getting started on YouTube. And I want to say right from the beginning that there's not like one perfect way to do this, right? Like there's a lot of different things to consider, which we're going to go through here. I have 5 steps that I'm going to take you guys through. But there's a lot of different things, and most of it depends on what your goal is for your channel. So what I've put together here for you guys is kind of like a summary of a way I would approach starting a new channel if the goal was to create a channel about something I'm passionate about and that it's something I would love for it to generate a full-time income for me one day. So those are the primary goals that'll define how we kind of work through our list here. And I'm going to go through this very quickly. I mean, there's a lot of points here to make, but we could, and people do, spend weeks talking about just one of these things. Like there's entire seminars and conferences around like each one of these points, but we're going to try to do them in a way that gives you guys a framework for just kind of how to move forward. In fact, when I do video labs with people and creators who go through that 8-week process that I take people through about how to grow their channel and get subscribers and turn it, into the thing that's meeting the goals that they want. We spend about 8 weeks doing a lot of these things together. So I'm going to mention them. We're going to go through them quickly, but these are things I would definitely recommend that you take more time to really dive into. Now, one little caveat here is my strategy puts the actual content creation a little bit further down the funnel. Not the funnel, the process, I should say. But I normally don't recommend that someone just jump straight into making videos. Like there's usually some planning things. Again, this comes back to the goals of the channel, what you want to do. But normally I would recommend don't start with videos right away. Actually start with a strategy and some planning, which we'll talk through here in a second. But the caveat is unless one of two things, unless you don't know how to shoot and edit yet, then start with that. Like don't worry about anything else at this point. If you don't know how to shoot and edit and actually create videos for your channel, then none of this rest of this actually really matters that much. So you really need that skill first. And the other thing is, the other consideration is if you feel like, Tim, if I don't start with making videos, I'm just never going to get this done, right? Like if you're going to send me into a planning phase for a while, then this is not going to be for me, right? I just need to just start shooting, just start editing and getting into the creative side of this in order to get some momentum going. Then that's great too. Yeah. So, but if you don't need the momentum right away and you also already know how to shoot and edit, then this is where I would start. Okay, so let me break this down. There's 5 steps, and thank you guys for the super chats and all the questions that are coming in. Dan the fireman says, I went from a firefighter career to full-time YouTuber with your help. Thank you, and you're welcome, and congrats, Dan the fireman. That's awesome. Good for you. And then it's Young. Also, thank you for the $5 super chat. Your channel is useful and helpful. Thank you for doing what you do. You inspired me to make my own videos. Once again, thank you. You're welcome. This is going to be fun. Oh, I can already tell. We're off to a great start here, guys. Thank you. So let's talk about these five steps that I recommend you go through. And each of these 5 will have, a few sub points that we need to talk about, and which I'll give to you again pretty quickly so we can jump and spend most of our time talking about your questions. So ask those as we go through this. The first step is, a lot of people skip this, and this is like one of the most important parts, in my opinion, is step number 1 is the pre-work. Okay, now there's a bunch of things that's going to fall under pre-work. So what do you have to do to get started? What's the pre-work? Okay, so the first thing in the pre-work phase is you really need to define your target audience. And you guys have heard me say this stuff before, some of this, the target audience. And it's important that you define it, not just have like, well, I'm going after anyone else who likes video games, or anyone who's a mother, or anyone who likes Legos or whatever, right? No, like, what is that thing? So actually, have a client we worked through this with, and they are able, it's an exotic car channel, and they got down to, what does this person feel when they drive? Why do they drive? What was their dream as a little boy? What does this car mean to them? Why are they interested in these exotic cars in the first place? And all the way down to his personality, his job, where he spends his free time. Like, the more intimately you get to know this person, the better you can craft content that's for them. And that's the next thing under pre-work, is you need to really define that value proposition. What's the value that you're trying to deliver to someone in that target audience? It doesn't work anymore today. Like, it used to work in the early days of YouTube, but it's been a long time since just putting up random videos actually worked. Now you need to actually have a strategy, and you need to have a plan for who is this for and why should they care. Target audience, value proposition. And that's a whole nother conversation in itself. I mean, maybe we should break each of these down in like entire podcast live stream sessions here, where we like dive into each one of these things. But you need to know, like, why someone should care, and then you need to be able to articulate for that target audience why they should care. So when they come to your channel, what are they going to need to see, hear, feel, experience in the opening seconds of your videos, in their first interaction with your channel, in order to make them quickly feel like this is for me. And then the third thing under pre-work is create the branding that goes around it. And this really comes down to, how do you communicate the value proposition to the target audience? What gets them to clearly understand what you're all about? That is one of the biggest issues I work with when I'm doing consultations, whether they're one-off, 1-hour sessions with people, or someone's working with us longer term, is really helping them to make like, sometimes they understand the target audience and the value proposition, but it's not clear. That's the thing they need to work on. Like, they understand it, and sometimes they can articulate it, and I'm like, all right, that's great. When I look at your channel, I really didn't know. I couldn't tell who it was for. And I was looking for that thing. So if someone who's not really looking for it, like, how quickly are you answering those questions for someone? Really important. So the branding, so the channel art, right? And the playlist sections are going to have, and the trailer and everything. How's it going to communicate? What's it going to say that gets someone to quickly and clearly understand what you're all about and why they should care? The next thing under pre-work after that is to create your primal branding elements, and really consider out, okay, what's going to be the story that I tell? What's going to be the creed or the belief? What are going to be my icons? And we've spent entire sessions around this stuff too. So look past the back archives if you want to learn more about primal branding. But these are the things that start building human connection with our brand and with our content. What are the rituals, which are the repeated interactions that people grow to love and expect with our content and our videos? Who are the non-believers? Who are the people who aren't us? What are we standing up for and in the creed, but who are we also standing against, or what are we standing against? Who are what are the sacred words? Like, what's the inside lingo that we use that kind of helps our community identify as being a part of our community? And who's the leader? Who's leading this charge? Who are the people following? Figuring out all those things are going to be really important, because just understanding the value proposition is like kind of keeps at a cognitive level, but when you have these primal branding elements and the creed and the rituals, that's what starts bringing it down to an emotional level, and that gets someone from being like, oh, I get what they're all about, to I actually get it and I like them. Like I like these guys, right? And so that's what the primal branding stuff does. The next thing then is, after you've got that pre-work figured out, then the next step in the pre-work is to start researching other channels who are reaching your target audience. So that doesn't mean your niche necessarily. That means what other types of interests does your target audience have? What else might they be watching? So for example, if you're, let's say, a gaming channel, you might want to also watch some channels that might be about skateboarding maybe, or monster drinks, energy drinks, extreme sports or whatever, right? Like, or if you have a health and fitness channel, maybe it's mostly on the fitness side, then maybe there's some cooking channels and some food nutrition channels that your audience might be hanging out on as well. That type of thing, and get to know those other channels. And the main thing you're looking for is what seems to be working well for them, and what doesn't seem to be working well, and just pay attention to what they're doing, and break down the principles that could help you reproduce some of the success they're having or not having. And then also you need to research other channels that are delivering a similar value proposition, which could also, some people would say, in your niche. Now niche is a lot broader in my mind than value proposition, but you get the idea. Like, where's your audience hanging out on YouTube? Study those channels, and then also the ones that might be quote unquote competitors to you on YouTube. Okay, so that's like some of the pre-work, and all that is to kind of like get us set up to be able to really like hit our audience the way we want to hit them, and get them to be like, oh, I love this channel. Like, where have you been all my life, right? That's what we're going for here. And then the final thing in pre-work, and this kind of happens throughout like these other things, but the final part of pre-work is actually drafting a business model and a customer journey, right? For that, like, so you've kind of figured out how you want to deliver value to your target audience through your channel, but you also need to plan, how do I capture value in return, so that this is a good relationship that I have with these people, right? That allows me to sustainably continue to serve them and give them the content that they want and the videos that they need in a way that actually generates revenue for me, so I can pay for all the editing software, the computers and the cameras and the team that I'm going to need, and my time, so I can afford to take time to do this, right? All that. So I have entire courses. Actually, I have an entire course dedicated to how to turn YouTube into your full-time career with a business model. And you guys can find that on my website, videocreators.com. It's called Turn YouTube into Your Career. Or for those of you guys who are members, like, thank you, Dan the Fireman just became a channel member. You and other members get access to a full, I think it's almost like an hour recording of me talking like how to start the first steps of creating a business model around your channel that lets you earn about 150 times more very quickly and easily than you would with just AdSense. In fact, I got a tweet the other day from someone. Oh no, it was an email, not a tweet. And they said, "Tim, thank you so much for all your help." They said, I have 3 videos on my channel, and my 3rd video is up to 143 views, and I already made $99. I made a $99 sale off my video. And they're like, and you're right, like around 1% conversion is about what I'm seeing. Around 1 out of every 100 people are giving me $100 for this material. And I was like, that's it. Like, that's what, like, right. Like, that is absolutely the way to do it. Okay. So draft the business model and the customer journey. Okay. So that's it for the pre-work. Now let's get into phase 2. And I'm going to try to go through this again quickly. I'm sorry I can't camp out, unless you guys in the chat are telling me, yes, camp out on this stuff and spend more time. But I see your questions coming in, and I want to make sure I get to those. Okay, so the second phase is strategy. And this one's actually, I put it all in one bullet point, but it actually could be 3 or more. But for the sake of time, let me just say that the strategy section here is, now you need to figure out, like, how are you going to execute delivery on the value proposition to your target audience in a way that grows your channel and lets you deliver and capture value. So I would break it down into 3 different buckets of content, of videos that you're going to produce. The first bucket is discoverable content. And these are videos where the goal is to go out, get a new viewer who's never heard of you before, and convert them into being a subscriber. Okay. And I actually have a whole, if you go to my channel and search for like YouTube strategy, I have a whole video that goes, multiple videos that go into each of these in more depth. But that's the goal of that. So when you're looking at the camera, you're keeping that first time viewer in mind who's never heard of you before, and you're intentionally crafting content for them. And the main call to action of that video is to click and watch another video, not subscribe, not comment, nothing like that. Just get them into multiple videos of yours. The second bucket of content is community content. And these are videos that are designed to grow the know, like, and trust factors with your audience. And so actually I have a video coming up I think about it, this Thursday's video actually goes into more detail about all this stuff too. So I'll go through these just so you have an idea. But community, and that's like the main call to action there is engagement, which is like comment or subscribe or something like that. And then your third bucket is sales videos. And this is where the main goal is to get someone off of YouTube to sign up for something, pay for something, register for something, whatever the case might be. You need to have, in that second phase, develop a strategy for each one of those types of content and how it's going to help someone across your customer journey as a part of your business plan. Now, the third phase is when you actually create the YouTube channel. We're finally getting to that stage. And that's pretty simple. You can go, most of you guys have figured out how to do that. But that's when you're just going to set up the channel art and things like that. I would shoot probably to get started somewhere between 5 to 8 discoverable videos based on all the research that you've done, all the planning that you've done, and start testing your processes and just kind of evaluate how you deliver that value. Like in the example I gave earlier, she did 3 videos. By video number 3, she was already generating $100 in sales and and growing very quickly. All right, but that depends. That requires that you have a business model and way to capture value, right? And so shoot 5 to 8. I don't want you to shoot a ton of content before start launching, because it's likely, and this is very normal, is you're gonna shoot 5 to 8, and a couple of things are gonna happen. One, the systems and processes that you thought you would be following are gonna break down, which is great. You need them to break down so you can improve them and do better. You're going to find maybe that shooting and editing takes longer than you thought it was going to do. And so you were planning on doing a video every day, and you're like, there's absolutely no way I can do a video every day, right? Or something else will happen too. But I think you just need to make a few, so you start figuring out your processes and systems for generating value consistently, but also you don't do too many so that you're not repeating mistakes. And then you're going to upload them. A common question at this point is, well, should I post them all at once or should I spread them out? And it doesn't matter too much. I typically recommend people like, hey, just shoot on your normal and post on your normal posting schedule. So if you're going to do 1 video a week, you got 5 shot, just start doing once a week, after you have the 5 done. So now you're already a month ahead, and hopefully you can stay ahead as you're learning from how the first 5 videos are performing on YouTube. And that's kind of another point there is like, pay attention to your data, especially those audience retention graphs and where your traffic sources are coming in for those people who are finding your channel for the first time. I think you should be looking at suggested traffic sources and search traffic sources, and what are people clicking from, like what videos are they watching that are getting them into my content, and what's causing abandonment, how well am I holding someone's attention, what do I need to do to hold their attention better in the next videos I shoot, and paying really careful attention to all that data. Because most people assume, like, when most people launch a channel, they make a bunch of mistakes. The first one is just start making videos and publishing them, which again isn't a mistake. 1, if you need momentum, or 2, you need to learn that process. But then the second assumption they make is that the main problem of my channel is exposure. And so then they do things like paying for promotion, and they buy views and subs, and they use even like YouTube's AdWords or Google ad campaigns to get promotion. And it never works. I've actually never seen that work. I'm trying to think of an example, but and the reason it doesn't work is because the problem is not exposure. The problem is actually there's still something wrong with the videos. I don't say that to be mean. Like, if your channel's in that spot, I'm just saying, like, if you're going to invest resources into something, invest resources into your time or someone else's time if you want to pay them to figure out like, how do I better improve and craft my content to hold someone's attention, get more watch time, deliver better value to them so that YouTube starts getting the signals that they want in order to promote my videos for me. And that's great because now YouTube's promoting you for free. But two, like YouTube's not trying to hold you back. They want to promote videos that people actually resonate with. And if people start resonating with your videos, then that's one of the things that's going to help you. Okay. I see some of you guys giving some examples of people maybe that's worked for like Ty Cruz. That's a different scenario, I would say. In terms of people actually trying to, if you have a ton of like millions of dollars sitting around and you're like, I want to blow on something, sure, you can do that. And you'll get something from it. But my math usually indicates, and it varies pretty greatly, but it's like the number of people that viewers that you pay to get, and then look at that conversion rate into subscribers. And then look at that conversion rate of those people turning into subscribers to actually turn into ongoing, long-term, engaged viewers. It's really, really low. It's way less than 1% from what I've seen. So the ad system is great for what it's intended for, which is like getting viewers to convert into something, usually off-platform. But in terms of that, that's... in terms of growing a channel, I'd say your resources are much better invested into actually analyzing and processing and improving. The other way to spend the money is, if you just really got money you want to burn, is to invest in the collaborations and other things. But we're kind of getting a little ahead of ourselves, because step number 4, phase 4 here, is actually you've created the content, you started posting on a normal schedule. Oh, and I didn't finish that thought. The reason why I say post on a normal schedule rather than all at once is just because it starts training you to get into a normal, regular routine of publishing content and creating content regularly, as opposed to making 5 videos, publishing them all, and you're like, oh, shoot, now I don't have any videos for next week. You got to do it all again. It gives you a little bit of buffer right from the beginning in order to make this sustainable for you, because sometimes things come up, you're going to miss a week or family stuff. Like, I don't want you to stress out over this too much, right? So it gives you buffer right from the very beginning and gets you into that routine. And so it's more for your own sake than anything else. All right, then phase number 4 is launch. And this is when, like, if in my case, I would probably at that point start telling people about it. I'm probably going to start telling friends and family about it. I'm going to start sharing it with my existing networks after the content, I feel good about where it's at. And this is when I'm going to start launching onto that. And then the 5th phase is promotion. That's a topic for another time, which we can get into a little bit later. But what I really want to focus on here before diving into questions and helping you understand that success on a YouTube channel is mostly all the behind the scenes stuff that you don't see. It's like, I know it's really easy to look at a channel and see like, whoa, they're blowing up so fast, and just try to imitate what they're doing. But this pre-work and this strategy is the stuff that actually makes a difference. It's the intentionality behind having a plan that's more than just like, well, I'm going to start posting gaming videos or vlogs or cooking videos or legal video or whatever the case may be. I mean, you can go somewhere sometimes, and there are always exceptions that people tend to get a lot of things right kind of accidentally and grow. But the way to more predictably guarantee growth is to follow a process like this. That's just a lot of work. And, sometimes it takes a long time before you even get that first video published, but at least then you know that the efforts you're putting into creating and crafting and publishing those videos are actually more likely to produce the results that you want. Okay, so let's get into your questions here and spend the rest of our time on these. Fathering Autism, thank you for the super chat. Just want to say thank you, bro. Always, you're welcome, and I appreciate the super chat. And Tom from Green Shorts DIY, thank you for your super chat, man. Says, Video Labs alum, I've applied these principles mostly, and they work. Almost at 40,000 subs, and have just launched my first off YouTube product. That's awesome, Tom. Good for you. I'm glad to have that update. I remember when you went into Video Labs, I think you had like a few thousand subscribers, if I remember correctly. So a few thousand to 40,000, good for you. That's the right trajectory. That's what I like to see, is people winning like that. So good job, man. All right, Olivia Beltran Ulam Manbando. That's quite the channel name. How can one find their target audience? Oh, good question. Okay, so in regards to target audience, there's two ways to do this. Actually, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but the two main ways that people do is they do what you're suggesting, which is they just start making videos and they start looking at their data to see like, who am I attracting? And you can do that. It'll give you some idea, but I mean, the demographic info YouTube gives you is basically age, gender, and sometimes location. It doesn't really get much more detailed than that. And so I think the better way to do it is actually you pick who your target audience is. Like, you get to pick that, and you determine based on the content you make and the value proposition you're creating, you end up deciding who your audience becomes, because you're intentionally trying to attract those people, and the people who don't want that value aren't there. So I don't think you find your target audience. I think you decide on who your target audience is, and then you craft content to bring them in. So that's the only way to make it sure that it's predictable. If you're kind of going the other approach, which is just kind of floating back and forth between who's here versus and just trying to versus like deciding who that audience is, it's always like a loose it's not really a target audience. Now you're kind of like just trying, it's not a bullseye. You're always kind of hitting around it, because one person ends up being here for one thing. Someone else subscribes because they think you're funny. Someone else subscribes because you're in their hometown, and so they think that's cool, right? And if you don't make the brand clear of who it's for and why they should care, people are going to come up with their own reasons, and that makes it really hard to keep momentum going long term. So, and you run into a bunch of other problems too. But that's hopefully that helps there. Simple Me Tay. I have to work on my channel art. I have a lifestyle channel. Is a trailer necessary? Trailer being necessary or not depends on who you ask. If you're asking me, obviously you are. I say that it is. The reason some people say that it's not, and they would prefer to just show someone another piece of content, another video that they feel like just does a really good job at offering more value instead of making a little commercial for themselves. And I get that. That's fine. The reason I say that a channel trailer is helpful, maybe not necessary, but helpful, is actually has more to do with the process of making it that it forces you to go through. Because it forces the creator now to figure out, how do I best articulate what I'm all about? How do I best communicate with this target audience in a very short amount of time? And how do I tell people why this matters? And so it helps you be able to go through the process of forming the language that you're going to use in all your other videos to really help you figure out how you're going to best pitch this quickly and make your brand clear. So I like it more because of the process of what it forces the creator to do, more so than just like, do you have a channel trailer or not? So I recommend having one. I recommend having one, but for that reason. UK Northern Adventures. Should I script and plan all my videos? That's up to you. I mean, that's a style thing. Personally, I recommend typically learning how to just bullet point, like I've done here today, for example, and then just talking through it, as opposed to scripting out word for word and coming off kind of robotic, and then you don't really feel as natural on camera. And sometimes you start sounding like this, right? Some people are really good at teleprompters. That's another skill. So it just depends on which skill you want to learn. You want to learn the skill of being able to sound natural with a teleprompter, or the skill of being able to feel natural with bullet points. And I prefer bullet points personally. The Freedom Hustler. Should I start a new channel under a new email? And do I need a VPN and use different device in case account suspended, etc.? Wow. Okay, it's getting a little technical. I like it. I don't think you need to make new channels under different email addresses. All of my channels are under one email address. Now, it's under an email address that's not public. It's not an email address I use other than for all my channels, because it's just one layer of security. If it's one thing if people know my email and then they need to figure out the password. But if people don't know the email address either, then it's just like one extra layer of security. So, but I think it's fine to have them all under one email. I do. I don't even know how many. A lot of them under one email. Just create a new brand account and, just go to youtube.com/channel_switcher. And that's where you can just create multiple accounts, multiple channels right there under that account. Now, do I need a VPN and use a different device? I don't think you need to go as far as using different devices. I don't. I do use a VPN. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a virtual private network. And what a VPN does is it basically lets you mask yourself on the internet and just an extra layer of security. It's a little harder for people to kind of know where you live in case personal privacy is an issue, because like right now I'm streaming through a VPN, and YouTube at this point thinks I'm in Washington, D.C. because that's where the server is. I'm connected to the internet through, but I'm actually in Cincinnati, right? So with that, it makes it difficult for any rogue people to trace, if, like, let's say I post a piece of content online, someone doesn't like it, and they could potentially, someone who has my IP address could come find my house where they live. They could find out my identity. They could blackmail me. And all these are like, I don't know how sensitive you want to be to this stuff, but I figure since I make my full-time income and living by posting things on YouTube, it's not a hassle to use. It's one extra layer of protection and security. And so I use it at home and definitely on public Wi-Fi. If you're like a hotel, coffee shop, you absolutely, I don't care who you are, you should be on a VPN, because there is very simple for someone with about a device that costs less than $100 to sniff encryption over a public Wi-Fi network and start tracking all passwords and data that's being passed back and forth between account information, banking information. And so I never connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot outside my home without the VPN on. So if you want my recommendation, I've tried a lot of them, not sponsored, but I've tried a lot of different VPNs, and by far the best one for people like us who are doing a lot of video stuff is called ExpressVPN. And I have a little affiliate referral link. It's videocreators.com/ hold on, put myself on the spot here. videocreators.com/expressvpn, I believe. Let me try it myself, make sure that's correct. Yes. So that's it. And that's the one I use. Works great. Especially for us video people. I'm streaming through my VPN right now, so it's most of them would hiccup at this and have a lot of problems, but not them. Okay. Kristen, and for those of you guys listening to the recording of this, to the podcast, I'll put a link to that in the show notes. You guys can just tap it and go check it out. Kristen, I've been making videos for several years, but I think I need more guidance on the strategy on YouTube and how to strategize on my other social media platforms, and also help on YouTube. Suggestions? Yeah, I mean, my suggestion is like, let's do a 1-hour session together. Go to videocreators.com, so click on consulting, and you can just book a session right there, right in my calendar, or with someone on my team, and we'll be happy to spend an hour just kind of looking at your channel, looking at your content, and helping you put that together. The other way to do it is to keep listening to podcasts like this and the live streams and content and doing it yourself. But if you want to sit down and talk with someone, my team, we do that for many people every week. So we'd love to do that with you as well, if you feel like that's what you need. Inferno Games. Any idea to get more confidence in your videos as an introvert? Okay, we're going a little off topic here, but practice is the key there. And the other thing I'd say about introverts is like a lot of people don't realize, but like most of the successful YouTube creators I know are actually introverts. And I think the thing that helps an introvert on camera is that we are. I say we because I am one, is that we tend to be, I don't want to say this carefully because it's not true across the board, but people, how do I say this? Like introverts are more comfortable with intimacy sometimes and making someone feel like a little bit more of an intimate connection, because they make it feel a little bit more like a one-on-one rather than a one-on-many type of experience. And so, and I think there's a reason why introverts are sometimes more comfortable talking to a camera than to a real person. So most of the successful creators I know are introverts, and so you can use it to your advantage if that helps you. And I also have a course on I feel like this whole thing's turning into a big promo for all my stuff. Now I'm trying to point you guys to things that I have that I think is exactly what you need, that's going to deliver more value to you. It's really inexpensive. It's only $30, and it's called Find Your Voice. And it's me working with a acting coach who his job is actually helping people transition from theater to acting on a stage to acting on a camera for television commercials. And so that's his background. And we go through that course together, teaching you how to feel comfortable on camera. That's what he does as a living. And so you can go through that course, only $30. It's called Find Your Voice, videocreators.com. Emma Blackrose, how long should you plan ahead for videos? I mean, that depends on the content. I mean, some videos, you can just crank them right out and you're good. Other videos, like this Creator Story series I've been working on it for almost a year now. And I still haven't even published the first episode. So it just depends on how much goes into your content and what you need for it. So there's no right or wrong answer on that one. Kiss Dewana, how long should each video be? That's a common question. A better question to ask is, how long can you hold someone's attention? That's the better way of asking it, because there's no magic, right or wrong in terms of how long it should be. If you have a 2-minute idea, take 2 minutes. Don't try to stretch it into 10. If you have a 10-minute idea, don't try to cram it into 2 minutes because someone told you 2 minutes was better. The question really comes down to your audience retention graphs and how well can you hold someone's attention. And the longer you can hold someone's attention, the better, right? So that's where you're going to find whatever your style is and what's appropriate for the content and the value you're trying to deliver and the audience and all that. Amy Sorrell, what's your advice with gaining more watch time? That'll come down more to do when we talk about more discoverability, but watch time is, the advice is to improve your traffic to your channel. But the way you improve traffic to your channel is by holding people's attention for longer and getting them to watch multiple videos. So one of the easiest way to grow watch time is to take the person who's already watched your entire video, like someone who's already said like, oh, I'm getting value out of this, get them to watch another video. And that comes down to doing a really good pitch on your end screen, getting people to like click and watch another video and getting them into more content. That's one of the best ways to start getting more watch time, is getting that person who's already there, giving you watch time to give you more. Kind of like from a business perspective, it's like, who's your best customer? Who's already a customer of yours? It's easier to get them to purchase with you and make another transaction with you than it is, because they've already had a good experience and they already feel confident with you, than it is to get someone who's never heard of you before to make that first transaction. Same principle. Theo RP, I want to record long interviews, but my 2 cameras are limited to 30 minutes. Any tips? Well, I mean, you got to record in 30-minute segments, so either get a different camera or learn how you can do it in less than 30 minutes or make a cut and keep going, So it sounds like you have a DSLR, and yeah, depends on I don't know what kind of content you're making. So yeah, you're kind of limited by that. There's no way to hack your camera and make it go longer really, unless you use like Magic Lantern. But even then, I don't know if that third-party firmware does it on those DSLRs. TriStar Volunteer, I just finished a fishing/outdoor vlog, 5 videos up so far. Good for you. My question is, do you recommend one longer vlog per week, like 12 to 15 minutes, or 2 shorter vlogs in the 5 to 6 minute range to gain viewers? Comes back to the same answer before. Try both. The advantage you guys have when you're starting out on YouTube and you have a new channel is you get to experiment. You get to try things, and there's few people there to tick off, right? As opposed to some of these more established channels who are like, oh, I want to do something new. They try it, and now they have all these people like unsubscribing and leaving, like, I don't want this. Like, what are you doing? Like, go back to your normal thing or whatever. You guys can have you have maximum flexibility to try a lot of different things. So take advantage of that while your channels are small, and do that to the best of your ability, because that's really a gift that you lose sometimes as you become more and more ingrained into your channel. So, and that's to say, you only lose it if you do a poor job of setting up branding. If you set up the branding around the what you do, then it's hard to change what you do. But if you set up your branding, as hopefully I have done, around the why you do it, which is reach people and change their lives, then you have a lot more flexibility to kind of do anything you want, as long as it delivers that value to that audience. Then at that point, if that's what they subscribe for, they don't really care about the style, as long as it delivers the value that they want. So I would focus more on the how do you best deliver the value and less on the format and the length. Whiskey Blue 10. Whoops. Hold on here. Laura and I are editing the same document at the same time. So the way this works, guys, is she's in the chat and she takes your questions and copy and paste them onto a shared Google Doc that we have. And we both just like edited the same spot at the same time. So I erased the question I was supposed to answer next while she was putting a new one. So sorry, Laura. This is the first time it's ever happened, though. So this is pretty good for doing this for like a year now, and that's never happened before. All right, so Busky Blue 10. I get likes, but barely any subscribers. How can you promote your channel better? Let's come back to that question when we talk more about promotion, maybe a future conversation, because I know a lot of people like having that and want to dive into, especially the discoverability side. But let me summarize it again for you guys and say that the main problem is not actually exposure. The main problem is usually content. I've done hundreds, I think like 600 now, consultations one-on-one with creators, over 600. And I've only seen in one case where I think like, oh, there's actually, everything's like here seems in order. The only problem here seems to be exposure. I've only seen that happen once. It's almost always, there's still a problem with the content. And I know it's hard to maybe hear and evaluate sometimes because there really is a steep learning curve. There's a lot of competition. But like learning how to tell stories and how to deliver that value to your audience is really going to be the thing that's going to separate you and help you grow long term. And so the issue is, once people start responding well to your content, YouTube's systems are designed to like really start surfacing your content for you. Ducking Around asks, where do you draw the line between making content that you want to make and making content that your audience wants and will grow your channel? I grow that line squarely on the content I want to make. Mostly. Now, let me use you guys as an example, okay? I feel like I've been trying to deliver value that I think is what you need. But I know that it's not value, which is like how to craft better stories, which leads to more watch time, which leads to more views, and leads to higher engagement, and leads to a higher subscription ratio and people coming back, right? Like it gets you everything you want. You can tell good stories in a way that really engages your audience. But if I make a video about how to tell good stories, like I did last week and published a video that walks you through a 3-act story structure, which is the exact same structure that like every movie, like Disney, Pixar, Hollywood in general, like that they're using to make millions of dollars. I share that structure and it got about half the views as I would expect a video to normally get. And that's because it's pitching to you what you need, not what you want. And so the thing that you guys want is actually if I want to actually get normal, like get you guys to watch, is actually I have to talk about getting more views, more subscribers, and more money. Okay? And I talk about that stuff a lot. So much so that there's a lot of people who consume everything and they're like, Tim, you've said all this before. I'm tired of hearing about value proposition, target audience, primal branding, research, all about discoverable community, sales content, channel. Like you've said all that a lot of times. Give us the next stuff. And so I'm in that same position where I'm torn between like, if I talk about next level stuff, people they don't click, they don't watch, right? And so if you keep it basic though, then people will watch and then start complaining about why it's, kind of repetitious. And the other thing is too, just in all honesty, is after doing over 600 consultations with creators, I've seen a lot of them be like, oh yeah, I already know my target audience. Oh yeah, I've already worked through all that. I'm ready for next level stuff. But I'm like, okay, well, explain to me your target audiences and value. So value props are on the same page. And it's like, it's a really lame explanation. I'm like, okay, no, you don't have this. We do need to go back to the basics. So, just like athletics, music, acting, whatever niche or industry you're in, like as a wrestler growing up in high school, it was like, it didn't matter how well you could do these tricky throws if you didn't know how to do a simple double leg takedown. Right. And so like, you gotta like learn the basics and master them. And then you go to like state championships, in my case, wrestling in high school. And well, I started wrestling in elementary school, then middle school, then high school, then coached in college, then coached high school team too later. It was like the people who win are the people who just like at states, they're not doing anything tricky or fancy. The state champions are the ones who just nail the basics over and over and over again so well that like you can't stop it even though you know it's coming. And I think there's a lot of correlation between YouTube channels. It's like, the people who nail these basics are the ones who win. So, yeah. So to answer your question, ducking around, the line for me is like, I'm starting to be like, I'm going to make content that I feel is valuable. that I think is what audience, like you guys actually need, and whether or not, you make the time to watch or enticed to watch or whatever, because I'm not pitching, it's all about more views and more subscribers and more money. And although all those things ultimately are the goal that all this stuff leads towards, I'm fine with that. And it depends on what your goal is for your channel, but my goal is not to grow the largest YouTube educational channel in the world. My goal is to provide the best value I can to the people who want it, so that those people can go out and reach people and change their lives. And my goal isn't also, neither is it to grow the largest business in the world. I want to build something sustainable that allows me to work with the people I enjoy working with, and the people that I know are going to go out and kill it, like Tom earlier. He's in Green Shorts DIY. His channel is all about like being green and sustainable. Like, he is literally helping people make the world more sustainable. And those tend to be the people that I attract because of the way my branding is aligned to be about reaching people, changing lives. Not everyone who's here is in alignment with that. That's great. If I want to grow the biggest YouTube channel on YouTube education, to be master YouTube, make more money, or master YouTube, feel more popular. But instead, it's master YouTube, reach people and change their lives, because that's what I'm about. And I think that in order for you to really keep enjoying what you're doing, ducking around, is you need to probably draw that line closer to content that you want to make, and build an audience around people who want that with you and share that belief, even if that means it doesn't become the world's largest YouTube channel. But again, if your goal is to grow the largest YouTube channel, then just discard all that and just go after what people want and drive yourself crazy with trying to meet everyone's expectations. How's that for a little punch of honesty? Sorry. Hope that helps and isn't. I feel like I'm getting a little too edgy here. All right, Josh, how big are thumbnails for the videos you post? I'm not sure what you mean by big. If you mean by big by size, or big is important. And by size, I would match the resolution of your video. So if it's a 4K video, it should be a 4K thumbnail. If it's a 1080p video, it should be a 1080p thumbnail. And there's nothing more to that, nothing algorithmic or anything, other than the fact that it's just consistent. And if people who watch on their 4K TVs are used to watching your video at a certain quality, keep the thumbnail at that quality for them. If you mean important, then they are absolutely very extremely important. It doesn't matter how awesome your videos are if people aren't enticed to click on them in the first place, and that has everything to do with your title and your thumbnails. Walk My London asks, I record walks in London, but I was advised to put myself on camera to connect with the audience. I am rubbish in my 50s, but hope this will attract an older audience. Do you have any advice? That advice is fine. It depends on the style of your videos before. So if you're just kind of taking a lot of B-roll and then just adding a voiceover to it later, I think that could be fine. If you're actually like vlogging and just not showing yourself, then it does feel a little bit weird. Like, who am I hanging out with right now? Like, who is this person? If you're doing the voiceover, just having like a photo of yourself at the end of your end screen or something could help, or having like your channel icon or something. But I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do it. The goal is to connect with an audience, and putting yourself on camera can certainly help, but there's other ways to do that too, with like the primal branding elements that we talked about. There's plenty of people who have never put themselves on camera and do quite well on YouTube. CPG Gray, for example. He's the first one that comes to mind, but yeah, there's a lot of, if you put yourself on camera and feel comfortable, do that. Okay. But there's nothing that says you have to do that. Jonathan and Lexi. Okay. Again, we're getting a little outside the scope of, this, but what is discoverable video for family vloggers? It's telling a good story that someone in your target audience would click and watch that story if they saw it as a suggested video. So your primary traffic source is not going to be search, probably, although it could be. You could make discoverable search content for someone in your target audience and do it in a vlog format, delivering that how-to or discoverable content. But I'd find it works just as well to, if you're going after young moms, for example, make a vlog of like mom goes shopping alone with 7 kids. And have a thumbnail of like kids like all hanging out crazy of a shopping cart, right? Something like that. And then Walk My London again. Laura says I should do this. Come back to this. Do you have an opinion about looking at what other channels are doing and fitting in with that? Does this shut down broader development? No, it's like I think you should learn from what other people are doing, but you don't have to copy or to imitate it. The goal there isn't to copy them. The goal is to look at the principles of what's working and not working and analyze, okay, like people seem to be really engaged with this video. What did they do in this video that's different than that other video? And just pay attention and see what you can learn by watching people who are doing it well. That's what I'm talking about. Man, so many good questions here, guys. We got like a whole page of them here, but I think we're going to wrap it up at that because it's a lot. But I do, for the future, those of you guys who are on the live stream, I do want to spend more time doing questions and like kind of like we did today, rather than before where we talk for a while and then take 2 or 3 questions. I want to focus on interacting with you guys. These live streams will no longer be available on my channel after the fact. They'll just be going to the podcast recording. So if you're not here live, you'll be missing. You won't be able to catch it later here on the channel as a replay. But that means I want to use these live streams for what they're intended to be used for, which is a little less of like public podcast recording and more for interaction. So I want to hear more of your questions. I want to help you guys out the best that I can and really help you reach people, change their lives, and with the content that you're producing. So that's kind of the change. I think we're still going to continue to live stream at this time every week, but if you're not here, you'll miss the stream and the content unless you catch up with the podcast later. If you want the podcast, go to iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, search for Video Creators. You can subscribe to any of those platforms. And if you are currently listening to the recording of this, I'd love if you don't mind just leaving us a little review on any of those, especially on iTunes. It really helps us out if you just give us a star rating and just give us some feedback what you like and don't like, and just kind of tell us how we can better improve these for you guys going forward. So thank you all for hanging out. Thanks for being a part of the Video Creators community and for all that you guys are doing to reach people and change their lives. And I will catch up with you guys soon next week. Video Creators, or youtube.com/Video Creators. We live stream at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and the podcasts go up on Tuesdays. So thanks guys for hanging out, and I will see you guys again soon.